All right. So we are recording, so that way for our folks that are are missing out today, they have a recording of the session, and at the same time, also you can refer to this later on. Today we're talking about the senior year, your graduation year. This is your advising touch point. More than anything, it's a chance for you to ask questions about what we need to do as we enter the graduation year. With us today is Kristy Stewart and Emily Bayman. And without further ado, take it away.
All right, so I'm going to start it off. So my name is Kristy Stewart, just going to kick it off here. So as Professor Robles said, we're talking about your senior year. So you can go ahead and get it next. All right, so as he mentioned as well, the link is in the chat. It is a good idea if you have that open and follow along. Some other things that you probably want to open as well would be your degree audit in Catalyst. So you can get there by going to Catalyst and then academic progress and then, my academics, then academic progress, and then your degree audit. And then while you're there, go ahead and open my graduation plan too. So have those 3 items open so you can follow along as we are talking here. All right, so this is a good place to have your degree audit open so you can check and follow along as I'm going through these. So just an overall idea about what you need to do and complete in order to be eligible to graduate are some requirements here. So the first one is that you have to earn 126 degree applicable credit hours. So that doesn't mean your total number of credit hours earned. That could be different. You could have a lot more than that, but these must be credit hours directly applied to your major. And you can check that in Catalyst in your degree audit. So if you have it open, you can scroll down to the bottom and then you can see where that section is. It's towards the very bottom. You'll see your credit hours and there's a few different categories. So make sure you're looking for the degree applicable credit hours. You won't have 126 yet, but you should be getting pretty close. So that'll give you a good indicator of how many credits you have left to earn. And then next year, you can be tracking that very closely so you can make sure that you will be able to finish on time in the spring. In addition, you must earn a 2.0 UC GPA. So that is also something you can check in your degree audit. It's towards the top. And then as well, you need a 2.0 major GPA. That is at the top too. In addition, you have to earn co-op credit for every term available to you through this coming summer. So what that means, if you're a freshman, you entered in, everything was good, then you're co-oping every semester available to you, that you should have 5 co-op sessions. If you were a transfer student or a change of major student and you came in a little later, then you'll just make sure that you have co-opted every semester available to you from that time onward. So your number may be a little bit different, and you'll just want to make sure that you follow up with your co-op advisor to ensure that you've completed all the required ones. If you've missed a co-op, you want to make sure again that you have checked with your co-op advisor to ensure that everything is okay with that and that you have a waiver for that. If you do not, then that co-op will be missing and you'll have to make it up. So you want to make sure that you have a waiver on file. But know that if you do have a waiver, it will not show up in your degree audit, so it will still show up as an unfulfilled co-op. So if you have that waiver and you see that you're still missing one, then you should be fine. But it would be a good idea to still just check in with your co-op advisor just to make sure everything is good. And then finally, you have to meet all of your elective requirements, and we'll be talking a lot more about that today. What are your electives? But that basically comprises your breadth of knowledge classes. These are the classes that you take that are outside of engineering but are still required of you to take, and then your MEC electives, and then your guided elective. All right, so getting a little more specific now. So let's look at your senior year. This is a general outline of what it should look like. This is the standard outline. So you can see it's broken into fall and spring semesters here. And you can see some specific classes listed there and then some other classes not mentioned. Those course where it says course, those will comprise of the electives listed down below. So these again are all of your electives that you need to fit into those semesters. The reason why it's listed as course is because you can choose which like which order you want to take them in. You still have to take them all, but just make sure that you have them all accounted for, and then you have some choice into how you want to arrange that. So for fall semester, you have to take Senior Design 1, that is 3 credit hours, or 4, depending on which one you enroll in. You also have to take Finance 4091, and then 3 other courses, again, selecting from those items at the bottom in red. And then in the spring, you have 1 standard class, Senior Design 2, and then the rest 4 courses you'll be filling in with those electives at the bottom. So again, those can be taken in fall or spring. MEC 5072C used to be a fall only class, but now it's offered both fall and spring. So if you see it, you will see it on your like maybe your curriculum guide or in your degree audit. It might show up as being in fall, but you notice it might be closed, for example. Don't panic, you can take that in the spring. So again, if you get to it and it's closed, then you can just plan to take it in the spring. And then the other electives here are the 2 MEC electives that you have to take. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute, as well as your 1 guided elective, and then 3 breadth of knowledge classes. All right, so just a little bit more about your degree audit. Hopefully you've had a chance to open that. So again, that is located in Catalyst, My Academics, Academic Progress, and then degree audit from the report, and then click to view. So you can see the path kind of visually laid out here, what it looks like. So it's a good idea to be looking at this, especially next year, maybe in the summer or early fall. Start looking at that just to make sure everything is looking good. You can look through it, and then you can follow up with your advisor to have us take a look at it as well, just in case you have questions or if you just want a final check on that. And the next slide here is just what it looks like. So once you're in your degree audit, you should see something like this. Especially as a senior, you should be seeing closed arrows, lots and lots of closed arrows. So that means you have completed the requirement and there is a class inside. You can open the arrow if you want and see what class is in there. And then any requirements that you have not yet completed will have the arrow open with a suggested class inside. So that will indicate to you what class you still need to take. All right, so getting a little bit more in detail about your electives. So first up is your breadth of knowledge classes. So if you remember, you have to take 4 total breadth of knowledge classes. So you should be taking maybe 1 now, maybe next semester, but probably now. If you haven't, plan on getting that work done to your schedule. So you have 4 total, and there are 2 big categories that you have to take for your breadth of knowledge classes. So the first category is contemporary topics, and the second is general education. And there are certain categories within that that you can select from to complete that requirement. So in contemporary topics, you have 2 classes you have to take for 6 credit hours total. You have to choose 1 class from each category, so DC or SE. And just a note on that, UC is changing the codes. So you'll see them, DC is being shifted over to DEI. However, both codes are in the book, so you can select from DC or DEI and it will still count for that 1 category. And the same thing applies to SE or SCE. So just remember you have to take 1 from both of those categories. And the next overall category is general education. Again, there's 2 class requirements in there, 6 credits total. And from here, you can actually choose the category you'd like to take a class in. So either from social sciences, historical perspectives, humanities, or fine arts. You can choose 1. Well, you have to choose 2, but you can select, if you select, for example, a social science class, you cannot take another social science class. You can only take 1, and then you have to select another category once you've fulfilled that 1 category. So you can't just like fill it up with social science or just humanities. You do have to have 2 different categories. And then once you have your BOKs fulfilled in your degree audit, it'll look like that graphic down below at the bottom of the screen. Your arrows should be closed. All right, so then moving on to your MEC elective. So this is a chance for you to specialize in an area of mechanical engineering that you're more interested in. So finally you get some voice. So again, you have to take classes, any kind of MEC elective classes. So it has to be an undergraduate course up to 5,000 level. 6,000 level, sometimes students are interested in those, but those are for graduate only. So be mindful of that and just limit your search to through the 5,000 level. slide. Yep. So this is where you want to definitely have your planning sheet handy. So this list of classes is on the planning sheet. It is also listed in your degree audit, and also it is on the mechanical engineering website. So there are 3 different places you can find it. So here you want to really take a close look at these offerings. So, and keep in mind the semester that they're typically offered in. So you can see the first column is for fall classes, typically offered in fall, and the second column is spring, typically offered in spring. So it's really important to be mindful of that as you're planning for your fall and spring classes. If you have specific classes in mind, make sure that you have it appropriately planned in the right semester and you have room for it, and that you register in advance. Don't wait till the last minute, because some electives are much more popular than others and they might fill up very quickly. So you want to make sure that you jump on it as soon as your window opens so that you can get into the class that you prefer. The other thing to note here is that these are not a guarantee that they will be offered every single semester and year. So these are just the ones that have been approved or on the books. They'll count for your mech elective, but they are not always offered every time. So if you have your heart set on one, make sure you also have like a backup or 2 in mind in case it is not offered in the fall. And there are many reasons why a class may not be offered, and some of it is outside the department's control. So just keep that in mind. Be a little bit flexible, have multiple options in mind that you'd like to take. So one thing that you can do now, if you'd like to have a better sense of what may be offered, is to look at what is currently being offered. So if you go into the course search in Catalyst and look at the fall classes, they are still available to view. And you can see which of the electives you're interested in are being offered now. And you can do the same thing for the coming spring, see which ones are being offered now. And that can kind of help guide your decision process about what to take. But again, just keep in mind, there's no guarantee that they'll be offered again next semester. You may see some missing, or you may see some different ones or whatever. But again, it's just some more information to help you figure out what to take. Okay, so Emily is going to talk about guided electives now.
Thank you, Kristy. And just a reminder for everybody, if you have any questions throughout this presentation, please feel free to go ahead and throw those in the chat. Or there's not a ton of us in this room, so you could unmute yourselves and just ask aloud as well. That would be fine. So moving into guided electives. So these are, this is another senior year requirement, of course. So these are career-related courses, but they may not be technical, scientific, or engineering type courses. They are meant to be your soft skills classes. So your writing, ethics, communication type courses. You'll see some options offered out of the College of Business as well. Higher level math and science courses are available as guided electives. And then additionally, you're also able to just take an extra mech elective if that's where your interests lie the most, and use that as a guided elective. So your options are pretty plentiful. You can see the full list of guided electives in your degree audit. It's a pretty lengthy list to go through. One of the reasons it is so incredibly long is because all language courses can count as a guided elective. So every single language course at just about every level is included on that list. So when you first log in and look at the options, you're just going to see a whole bunch of Arabic courses. It's alphabetical, and we'll have to continue to scroll to next pages to see what else is out there. This is where your planning sheet comes in very handy. We've tried to whittle that list down to the courses that are offered most often, have no prereqs or the least number of prereqs, and just kind of clean it up a little bit for you guys to have a cleaner list to choose from. If there are guided electives that are not on the approved list that you think should be, if they have a meaning to you in the career direction you're going in, then let us know. We can petition for those to count and be approved. Same goes for like if you're pursuing a minor and you want to see if one of those minor courses might be able to count toward the guided elective, connect with myself, Kristy, Eric, Sean, whoever your academic advisor is, and we can talk about the likelihood of that being approved and then move through that petition process. All right, Kristy touched on this quite a bit. So just to reiterate, please plan ahead for your senior year. It's really helpful to use the My Graduation tool. This is a newer tool that many of you maybe not have explored quite yet, but this is a tool that allows you to drag and drop courses and plan them for specific semesters. So it's a good mechanism to help you plan appropriately. Register as soon as your enrollment window opens, like Kristy mentioned as well. And then another reminder, not all of the courses that you see on these lists are going to be offered every single semester. Things do happen, change. There are a lot of variables at play when we're ordering courses and offering courses. So always have a backup plan in mind. Okay, senior design. You can bank on these being offered every fall and spring. So you have 3 options currently for your senior design next year. The first option is your standard traditional senior design. With this course, the typical format is the first few weeks of the semester. You'll have like these project pitches where you'll learn about some needs from different companies, different organizations that might need some help from engineers. So they might outline what their problems are, potential solutions, and you would basically sign up to work on one of those projects with a team. If you start in that project fall semester, you will be finishing it spring semester. So whatever you pick in fall is what you should continue with for spring. Automotive design, this is our Bearcat Motorsports team. They design and build the Formula car and compete. So it is a 4 credit hour course for fall and for spring. So on some of the documents, you might see senior design listed as 3 or 4 credit hours. This is the reason why this course is 4 credit hours. And finally, we have HVAC design, pretty self-explanatory. Not a lot of students sign up for that one, but it is one that we're starting to see more and more interest in. So these are your 3 options. If you want to know more about them, I would certainly encourage you to look up, as Kristy mentioned, look up who's teaching the class this semester, or look it up for this semester, and you'll see who's teaching the course or the design sequence, and you can reach out to them to get some more information if you want to know more details. Minors. I know some of you are pursuing minors, considering pursuing minors. It's really, really important that you make sure you've applied to that minor and it is appearing on your record in Catalyst and it appears in your degree audit in Catalyst. You can bust your butt and complete all of the courses for a minor, but if you've never applied for that minor, it's not going to show up on your diploma and you wouldn't graduate with that credential. So make sure you've applied to the minor. If you're not sure how to do so, reach out to your advisor. There are different applications for different minors in different colleges. So just connect with us and we'll make sure we send you to the right application. All right, this is not new information for you all, more so just a reminder. So we are still working with fellowship groups. This is the first semester that we've launched them. It's been a little bit more challenging in a virtual environment, but this is still an active group and we want to continue to encourage participation in these groups. So if your fellowship group is a group of 20 students in mechanical engineering technology, and aerospace engineering. And the groups are comprised of all class years as well. So a very diverse set of students within engineering disciplines, at least. So the goal of these is really just to connect, create a community, build relationships, network, and support each other. If you feel like you're hearing this for the very first time, no worries at all. But I do encourage you to log into Canvas, look for the course that says CEAS Fellowship Group. You'll be able to see the group you're assigned to within Canvas and can see your group members, start reaching out, etc. And have fun. That's the main goal, is to have fun with the group. Tons of benefits. Being a leader is one of them, and creating this new College of Engineering and Applied Science culture that we're working on. So anytime you're being a leader or a mentor, that's something that deserves to be on your resume. So make sure you're highlighting those types of opportunities and showcasing them on your resume and in job interviews. You'll be supporting underclassmen as well as upperclassmen. It goes both ways. You support each other in this process. So maybe there are things that as a freshman, you really wish an upperclassman would have shared with you. It would be great if you would share that with your fellowship groups, just to continue to create that community and form those relationships and bonds. You'll act as a mentor, positive influencer for peers and future colleagues, and you giving back just makes our space a lot better and more positive in general. So we would like to take a couple minutes. This should maybe just take 2 minutes or so to complete this very quick, brief survey. You can type in the tiny URL or go to the QR code. Use the QR code to navigate to the survey. We just want to know who you are, and then also, has your group been participating or doing any activities together this semester, virtual, of course, and also, would you be interested in being a group leader for next year when we relaunch the program? So we'll just take a quick pause and spend a minute or so filling out this survey. Thanks for posting the link in the chat, Rich. If you're super quick and already have this done, now is your time to start thinking about questions that you might like to ask Kristy or myself.
So here's the question. When it comes to the form that we sent out earlier this week and the link that I posted for that document, does that need to be turned in?
No, that is for your all's own planning purposes. It's meant to just benefit you, check all the boxes, make sure you've got done what you need to get done to graduate. We do not need that back.
You save it too, so next year around this time, you're not frantically asking us what's going on. So you did have a chance to plan it out. Just have that saved and handy so that you can refer to it later. And also make use of my graduation plan like now. Just go ahead and pop some of those electives on there so that you remember which semester you're going to take them in and which ones you're interested in.
So this is your chance. Certainly not your only chance, but would be a great time to ask questions if you have them.
Yeah, I had a quick question. Yeah, if we have all our BOKs done already, would you encourage us just to take more guided electives, or what would be like the best course to take for all those empty slots, you know?
You only have to take one guided elective. You can take more if you want, but you don't have to fill it with anything. Sometimes students opt to take like just a random class of interest. And then sometimes they just are part-time. It just kind of depends on your specific situation. So like if you have a scholarship or financial aid that requires you to be full-time, or if you're an international student, you need to be full-time so you can grab an extra class. But your senior year is a time when you might experience being part-time, especially if you're a little bit ahead. And it's okay as long as you checked with all those other offices.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
See, Joey has a question in here as well. What would you say are the most popular electives? Which ones do students enroll in most? This can vary, I think, year to year sometimes. A lot of students want to just take courses with their groups. And so if one person really feels strongly about taking a class, then a lot of others will follow. But I'd say quality control tends to be one of the more popular ones. What was the other one I was thinking of? Additive manufacturing is a good one. Six Sigma is a popular one. A lot of the courses that have a focus in manufacturing have been popular. Kristy, can you think of any others that?
Yeah, packaging is a common one. Amy's take that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard welding, the welding course.
Welding, yeah, that's a great one as a guided elective. Yeah.
So another common question that I remember over the years is if a student notices that the undergraduate if the undergraduate course number is full, but there is a graduate course that's linked to it, should they sign up for the graduate course?
No. Kristy, you talked a little bit about this before. Do you want to expand on that?
1,000 level course. That's the 5,000 level course. Those seats are set aside for students enrolled in the graduate program, and there's a certain limited number of seats for those students. So unfortunately, you can't take those seats. You just have to sit tight, maybe talk to the instructor, but yeah, you can't take those seats.
Josiah, what an interesting question. From an advisor's perspective, have you seen senioritis play a role in the success of student senior design? Yes and no. From this would be from an Emily perspective, not necessarily an all advisor perspective. We don't typically see the end of your senior design for a lot of reasons. It's our busy time, it's your busy time. All of the presentations are going on at the same time, so you kind of have to pick and choose what you're doing, where you're going. So we don't always see the end result, which is kind of a bummer for us. What I have seen is students senioritis playing a role in their electives. That can happen. I think more often I see students prioritize senior design because they don't want to let their teammates down, which is great, but you've also got yourself to rely on and to hold yourself accountable. You still need to be working on your own electives and work toward your own graduation requirements too. So if you're ever feeling like senioritis is becoming a barrier for you, connecting with us would be a great idea. We can explore options, figure out if something can be delayed or pushed back, or if there's another solution that we can work through.
I've actually seen it from the perspective that if they have a job already, they sort of slack off. But at the same time, I also observe students that spend too much time and they actually dig through a rabbit hole when it comes to their senior design, and they keep doing the and if syndrome. And if we could do this, we could add this to the project. And then if we do this, then we could add that to the project. And so it continues, and you go down this rabbit hole where your project becomes unmanageable because you're adding too much to it. And so very similar to what I tell students with our EEP upskilling course offering, you have to identify a specific outcome for yourself and what you want to be measured on and observed on. And so very similarly with the senior design course, you set the outcome, right? And you prior to Thanksgiving, you have to provide an outline plan of what you're going to be doing in the spring semester. So by all means, stick to the plan, because the plan that you've provided Dr. Houston is actually what you intend on doing, and it's been approved, right? And so oftentimes a lot of students just keep trying to add on to their intended outcome, and that senioritis kicks in that respect, because they spend more time on the project because they have a lot more fun with the project.
It's a good point to add.
Are there other questions regarding the senior year, the graduation year actually, registering for courses, senior year advising. I will say that as it relates to co-op, the degree audit is not accurate, so I would look at PAL. Within PAL, if in particular, if you have a PSRC waiver, an unemployment waiver, it is not reflected in your degree audit. And so the next best place to look would be in PAL. As we get into the graduation year, one of the things that I will be doing is evaluating students and making sure that they are not only registered for their co-op courses, but also that they have a grade for them. And so I will be following up with students accordingly if there's any co-op registration issues. Luke has a question. I've heard that a math minor is pretty feasible with the amount of math credits that we have accumulated within our curriculum. Is this true? And do you know the additional courses we would have to take?
You want to take this one, Kristy, or do you want me to take it? Okay. So yes, the math minor is very feasible to achieve. It is actually 3 more classes than what you've already had to complete calc-wise. So you've already been through Calc 1, Calc 2, multivariable, differential equations. 3 more classes are needed from that point. What's a little bit of a bummer is there is a course this semester that we're typically able to substitute for some statistics courses that would count for the minor. So the engineering, probability, and statistics class, if you're taking that, it does not count toward the minor, but you can take some additional stats courses that would count. There's 2 of them that we recommend, and then linear algebra would kind of put the nail on that done, and you'd be finished. Just chat with us if that's something you're wanting to do. We can look at if you have taken statistics yet, if just kind of where you're at with that, and how we might be able to work the rest of the math minor into your senior year.
Other questions? And Kristy has posted the link to the math minor program in the chat.
Thanks, Kristy.
Okay. Well, if any questions come up between now and the time you have to register for your senior year, feel free to reach out to your academic advisor. Their names and the major and the students that they work with are posted on the screen here. Want to thank Emily and Kristy for being with us today. Once this video is rendered, it will be posted on Canvas. So once again, thank you so much.